Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be working on dividing integers. Now you probably just watched the video on multiplying integers, and if you have, that's really great because this is going to definitely help you understand dividing integers. So the first thing I would like you to do is take a look at the column below and see, do you see a pattern? So go ahead and pause the video and see if you can find a pattern. Alright, let's see what you found. If you're like me, you probably started noticing that at least one number in the question had a negative, and each of the answers had a negative. So that's interesting. One was a negative, one's a positive, and the answer was a negative. Once again, one's a positive, one's a negative, and the answer's a negative. So when they have different symbols, it equals a negative. That sounds really familiar. Once again, if you've seen that multiplying integers piece already, then this might just be a little bit of a review for you. So, what would you put in that square? Well, you should put a negative sign. And remember, let's say it was a positive. Let's say that it was 18 divided by 3 equals 6. You don't have to write the positive in front of it. Remember that a positive number does not need to have the positive represented. However, a negative does. So negative 18 divided by 3 equals a negative 6. So why does negative 12 divided by 2 equal a negative 6? Because negative 12 divided by 2 is the same as saying the opposite of 12 divided by 2. The opposite. So you'll notice that the negative represents the opposite of 12 divided into 2 even groups is negative 6. And here's a picture of that. We know that 12 divided into 2 even groups is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The opposite of 6 is negative 6. Now some of you might be saying, but Ms. Hanson, what about if it looked like this? That's really interesting. That's a good question. I just noticed I forgot the negative there on the negative 6. So 12 divided by negative 2 equals negative 6. That's where then this that we learned the opposite of, it doesn't quite work. That's when you would reach into your bag of tricks and you would realize that they have different symbols. One is a positive, one is a negative, and therefore your answer is a negative. The great thing about math is there's a number of different ways that you can get to the right answer. So whichever way is the best for you, that's the way I encourage you to use. That's the one I encourage you to use. So let's take a look. Let's look at the next column. Oops, I misspelled. Look at the now look at the column below. Do you see a pattern? Go ahead and take a moment, pause the video, and come back. All right. What pattern did you see? Well, I noticed 24 is a positive, 3 is positive, and 8 is positive. Okay, but wait, here's a negative, and it equals a positive. There's a positive and a positive. Once again, another positive. Negative, negative, and it's a positive. I think it's going to be a lot like multiplication. When the signs are the same, it's going to equal a positive number. Go ahead and give this one a whirl. What sign would you put in the box and why? This is interesting because it's somewhat of a trick question, because you could put a positive symbol in each of these boxes. Or you could say, wait, I don't want to put any sign in those boxes. And why? Because it's perfectly reasonable to write 16 divided by 8 equals 2. And negative 16 divided by negative 8 equals 2. It's just assumed it's a positive if we don't see a symbol in front. All right. Now, Of course, I have to include the model here. 14 divided by 2 equals 7. Remember, this means taking 14 and dividing it up into 2 even groups. And sure enough, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in each group. Well, negative 14 divided by negative 2. So that's the opposite of 14 divided by negative 2. So let's look. The opposite of 14 divided by negative 2. Well, 14 divided by negative 2 equals negative 7. What's the opposite of negative 7? 7. So negative 14 divided by negative 2 equals 7. And once again, if you don't want to use the picture, just think about that rule that you learned. Both of the signs are the same. Therefore, the answer needs to be positive. I hope this has been helpful to you. Please feel free to come back and double check your work and just check over anything that you've done. Remember, the first step to success is to fail, so don't be afraid to get the answer wrong. Thanks.